to start out today with one big old question for you all. You know why you came here, but I want to know, what is your passion? What takes the cake? What's the first thing that comes to mind when you think about something you care about most? Does anyone care to share?
My kids.
Your kids? Yeah.
Cars.
Cars. Fair. Anyone else? Food. A basic need. That's a good man. Anyone else? The woods. All right. I like it. Well, hello everyone. My name is Carly Swatek, and I'm the graduate assistant at Schmeeckle Reserve, winding down on my last couple weeks really, of my degree program in environmental education. I agreed to do this talk tonight to fill up our ballot of programs, but we're in our last program of the semester. And just so you know, we're only 1 week away from the candlelight hike, a little over a week away. So hopefully that's on your radar. I'm really excited for that. All right, I got the shameless plugs out of the way. The real reason we're here tonight is to share with you my passion, and that is to protect these special places, in particular, wetlands. So in order to protect wetlands, you have to like a certain slimy little creature that we all know and love as frogs. And the reason that I love frogs and wanted to share that passion with you all is because I'm fascinated by the fact that frogs are literally the thermometer of a wetland system, in the sense that they indicate the health of a wetland through a variety of different means. And so as we walk to our first stop, just so you know, the talk tonight, I'm only going to keep you here for about 45-50 minutes. Get you home before dark or before it gets really dark, and before you lose feeling in your fingers. Okay? So as we walk to the first stop, I want you guys to think about another big question: what you do to lead a healthy lifestyle. All right. All right. Well, did anyone think of some ways that you try to lead a healthy lifestyle? Any things that you do? Joy might have one.
I love spinach.
The girl who just ran 26 miles. Yeah. She doesn't love running right now. I can get that. Okay. Staying active and eating spinach. Cool. Anyone else? Hiking. Cool. Well, wetlands have their own way of leading a healthy lifestyle, and they have a health code book, if you will, that allows for citizens and scientists to understand, whether or not it's a healthy or unhealthy balance. And so everything is good and perfect balance. But what I'd like to talk about here is the reason that frogs are exceptional indicator species. And I'd like to do that by asking for 4 volunteers to step right up, and then I'll explain the rest. We got one? Don't be shy. Come on up. All right, we got our 4. So the instructions for my volunteers, I'm going to give you a little reading and ask you to read a line. It's a short rhyme, a little story, that explains the role of a frog in wetland systems. And so I'd like for the rest of you, while you're listening to this story, to just close your eyes and listen to that story. All right? I'll explain, guys. I'll just slow down the line. 1.
Frogs are the most interesting animals that are most often green.
In order for them to survive, they need an environment that is pristine.
On the lily pads and rocks, these creatures will lie,
using their long, sticky tongues to catch insects that fly.
They begin life like this, and then they grow legs.
Then they return to the water to produce many eggs.
They come in many colors but are most often green.
They thrive in wet, humid conditions where the air and the water are clean.
For if their environment is polluted, their numbers will drop.
We won't hear them croak at night, and we won't see them hop.
All right, that was it. That was pretty simple, right? Thank you. Round of applause for all of you. Nicely done. Pretty simple little rhyme, but it tells us two important things about why frogs are good indicators of wetland ecosystems. The two things, did anyone pick up on them or have any guesses as to why frogs are so good at telling us the health? What's that?
Their skin is impermeable.
Yeah, their skin is permeable. Yeah. And so, like our own, I knew what you meant. Like our own skin, we take in and absorb different chemicals that we're exposed to in the air or through liquids. And so things like agricultural runoff and excess, or other runoff from the roads that we have right here, have taken their toll. And this system that we're standing in is called Moses Creek Wetland or Restoration Area. And it was restored a little over 10 years ago. But before that, years and years before that, houses and farm fields ran right up into this backyard of the stream, which was actually straightened at the time. It didn't meander as it does now. There also weren't these small little ephemeral ponds that are dug all around to promote additional wildlife habitat. So because of this restoration, it's become a really great place for frogs to live. And it's also become a great place for a healthy representation of our frog populations here. So that's the first one. Does anyone know the second? Well, the word amphibian means dual life. And so frogs are unique in that they go through that process of metamorphosis, similar to other species like butterflies. But they live half their life in the water. So as a reminder, frog life cycle starts out on land as an adult frog. All of the frogs that we're going to hear tonight, I promise, they hunker down. That permeable skin allows them to breathe oxygen underwater. So most of them spent their winter not in the heated home, but underneath the mud, underneath the wetland area here. They swim around if they don't get enough oxygen to help allow that to flow through them. But basically then they move on and lay their eggs, and the process continues from tadpole to, my favorite is froglet. This froglet stage when they actually get legs. Yeah, and absorb that tail and become an adult frog. So as we move on to our next stop, I want you guys to try and recall the first time that you ever heard a frog. It might be very vivid for you. It might just be a general, I remember hearing them at this point in time. But think about that and follow me. First time that they heard a frog.
I just remember the sound of the bullfrog.
Yeah?
Yeah. Kind of the same thing, camping and things like that.
Yeah. Were you frightened at first? Did you hear that? Huh? You wanted to grab it? Fair enough. Well, I spent the last 5 years living in Florida. And in Florida, in southeastern United States, they have this frog species called the pig frog. And pig frogs, and when you're from Wisconsin and you are in Florida, the first thing you think of when you hear a pig frog is, anybody know?
Pig.
Well, yeah, that's too obvious. No, the pig frog sounds just like a pig, but it also sounds just like the grunting of an alligator. And so for a long time while I moved down to Florida, I thought that around every corner there was an alligator, but really it was just a big frog messing with me. So that was very vivid. But but Wisconsin has about 12, we have 12 species of anurans, which is the big scientific name for frogs and toads. We have 1 toad and 11 frogs. And each of them call at a little bit different time. So part of the reason why they're a good indicator is because they give us clues as to what the water temperature is like, or when they're ready initially to start breeding. And so I'm gonna walk you guys through 4 of my favorites that we can actually hear right now. I told you that you were gonna hear frogs tonight, but I didn't tell you in what way. So I'm gonna start out. Well, I thought it was too small to show with this big of a group. But just so you have an idea of what I'm talking about, there's this great chart. It's a call phonology chart that the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources developed. And it shows you that the wood frog, the boreal chorus frog, the spring peeper, those are the first ones to call in the spring months. And so that's why I've chosen to focus on those right now. But the wood frog, anyone gotten a chance to see one of these up close and personal? Couple head shakes. Yeah? Anyone heard them before? Yeah? So you guys know that the wood frog is super cool because they are the only species that can live as far north as the Arctic Circle. And so instead of hibernating underwater like many of the amphibian species, they will actually shut down their body. They have this cryogenic chemical that allows their organs to remain preserved while they freeze underneath leaf litter. And if you haven't seen a video of that before, of them thawing out, you have to just Google it and go on YouTube and check it out because it's one of the coolest things I've ever experienced. So let me let you listen to the wood frog. Does anyone want to venture to say what they think that might sound like? If you had to make that sound.
Next door neighbor.
Sounds like your next door neighbor? I don't know if I want to go there. Anyone?
Laughing.
Mikhail, what do you think it sounds like?
I always like
Laughing.
but I always correlated it with something that sounds like it's choking on a balloon.
Yeah, that's my favorite. She told me that the other day. And so in a little bit, in a little bit that'll come in handy.
Does that happen?
Actually, what better time than right now? I'm gonna go ahead. In addition to showing you these frog calls live and in person via iPad, we're also going to make these calls on our own. So in order to do that, you need to understand that the only frogs that you hear calling are, what do you think, the boys or the girls?
Boys.
The boys. They're the male frogs trying to attract a mate, right? So I'm going to just split the group right in half between you two. And you guys, everyone to my right, are going to be the male frogs. You're the callers, okay? Everyone to the left are the females. So you just get to sit there and look pretty, okay? I'm gonna give a few lucky frogs a wood frog device. Wood frog making device. You can hand that up. We'll let Mikhail be one too. One more. Willing soldier. All right.
Go for it.
And then I'm gonna tell you about the next frog. Which is the boreal chorus frog. Now these guys I think are really cool because they actually have 13 cousins. There's the spotted chorus frog, the ornate chorus frog, the New Jersey chorus frog, the California chorus frog, the mountain chorus frog, the southern chorus frog, and the list goes on. It's crazy. They have more relatives than anybody I know. So let you listen to these guys. All right. Now I think this one, the chorus frog, sounds a little bit like your finger on a comb, on a fine-tooth comb. Would you agree?
Sure.
Does anyone have any other guesses or assertions? No? Okay. Well, we need some chorus frogs. So, other guys. So those of you who haven't picked one yet, give one to you. You want me to chorus frog?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right. Our second to the last is the spring peeper. And I imagine we all know what they sound like. Their deafening call at times can be enough to make you want earplugs, but when you're sleeping. But the spring peeper is really cool because they're the first ones that we often hear in the springtime, next to the wood frog. And they also get a name called the autumn piper because they start to call again later in the autumn. So dual breeding period. I will play this for you very quickly because I'm sure we've all heard it. Yeah. Pretty common. Well, I bet you can't guess what tool I have to mimic that sound. It's a squeaky toy. And my hands are like barely working to even squeak it. So we'll see. We'll see if you guys can squeak it. My dog's gonna be happy after this one. Did you got one? I already have one. You want? Okay, cool. Alright. Then last but not least is our one and only representative toad, the American toad. These guys travel farther than any of the frog species from their breeding grounds, which is why they spark up sometimes in your gardens or in other drier, more terrestrial areas. Has anyone heard them before? Absolutely. They're another pretty iconic sound. Pretty noisy. Yeah. And so the American toad, I think, kind of sounds like a lifeguard whistle that can blow that whistle all the way up to 30 seconds long. So, pretty cool. So we got a couple whistles here. Who's left over? You two? Alright. The plan now is for you all to pick a sound, pick your favorite. Which was your favorite? Chorus frog? What was you? Peeper? What about you? Yep. Peeper?
And you guys friends.
Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah? What about you guys? Okay.
Why wouldn't anyone be fine?
Alright. Now I want everybody, I'm going to keep you safe as a barricade. I'm going to ask that you close your eyes. That our male frogs give out their best breeding call, and that the females try and find their call. I promise I'll keep you safe. If you don't feel comfortable with this, that's okay. You don't have to participate. But we're gonna do this for 1 minute. So on your marks, get set. Find yourself a mate. Oh my gosh. It's more entertaining for me than
I don't want to.
Wow. Those wood frogs. I'm really getting cold.
All right. Well done. Well done. That was just to entertain me, so thanks.
You're easily entertained.
All right. Nice job, guys. If I can throw the squeakies or whatever, you can throw them in here if you want.
I don't know what happened. Camera in front of
You got too enthusiastic.
All right. Well, one of the reasons that researchers have chosen frogs, in addition to the fact that they're indicator species, is because of their amazing calls. And they found that it's much easier to train citizens how to record their calls during the spring and summer months than it is to just have one isolated researcher out in the field. So at our next stop, I want you all to practice your best listening ears and soft footsteps, because we're gonna train our ears to listen to all those frogs that we're about to hear when we record the Ribbit, okay? So follow me. You warm enough?
No.
Yeah? Hanging in there? Just thought I'd check in. No, not warm enough?
No, not warm.
Not warm enough. I told you. Peepers. Yes. We've made it.
How are they alive?
All right. So I hope that you are ready for what is about to happen. In 1981, quick facts before we get started. In 1981, the Wisconsin DNR saw that there was a decline in frog populations that was happening globally. They decided to put their citizens to the test, and within 3 years they set up different routes, survey routes, that folks could go and visit to record the frog calls that would then indicate their ecosystem health. But today they have over 150 routes, and so I'm showing you a map, and if you can see it close enough, there's red dots and there's green dots. The red dots are all active routes. So like I said, there's over 150 of them. The green dots are where they're looking for help or volunteers. So if you're from that area and you want to set up a route, consider it. These routes are essentially, there are 10 different points at each red dot that a volunteer goes out 3 times a year and records the Ribbit. Now I calculated that 150 times 10 times 3 is over 4,500 samples that are taken every year. So talk about power of the people and the contributions of large data sets to this cause. So pretty cool stuff. What we're participating in today, because we do have a lady named Teresa Johnson. She actually works at the Children's Museum downtown, but she does have the Stevens Point route on lockdown, and there is a site in Schmeeckle that she surveys, but it's not right here. So I talked with the DNR folks and I said, hey, I'm doing this frog program. I really want to contribute to your data set, but I don't have the resources to set up a whole new route and visit 10 spots, and I didn't think you guys wanted to do that. So instead, for those who don't wish to travel as much, they have this cool program that records song phenology data. And essentially what they ask is for you to visit your own favorite wetland. For me, it's Moses Creek. At least once a week during the spring and summer months. And so I am going to do that, and I invite you all, if you become interested after this program, to help me out with that. But essentially, I'd like to recruit someone who would like to record for us as we listen. What we're going to do is listen for 3 minutes of silence and document the species of frogs that we hear. We'll document them based on call intensity, where a 1 is a single individual, a 2 is a few talking back and forth perhaps, or whatnot, and 3 is a full-on chorus. So does anyone feel comfortable recording that for us? I'll help you. Ready? Cool. I've already taken the liberty to document the date. Does anyone have a smartphone and want to give us a reading on the temperature? Just don't say it out loud. You can read out loud. All right, it's 37. Holy cow, April 22nd. So we can put the degrees there. I went ahead and recorded water temperature before you guys got here. Just so you know, that pond right there is right around 36 degrees Fahrenheit. Spring peepers don't call unless it's over freezing. So we have a few degrees on them. This little pond that is a little bit shallower, at least where I could get into, is closer to 43 degrees. So at this point, I'd like everyone to just, you can spread out if you want to get a better listening ear. And we're going to take 3 minutes, starting, I'll wait till feet are planted. All right, starting now. Does that feel like 3 minutes? All right. Well, what did you guys hear?
Spring peepers.
Spring peepers. Did anyone hear anything besides
I
spring
thought I
peepers?
heard a chorus frog.
The chorus frog. I did too. It was one individual, right?
Yeah.
Like about 5 seconds or something.
Yeah.
It was really
Yeah. Good ears. Cool. Did anyone hear anything else besides those two? Chickadee.
Yeah.
Did you hear
there's-
anything else that was just notable to you? Highway noise.
There's an animal in the bush over there.
Was there? All right. Sounds good. Well, you can go ahead and record that for us then. So we'll put a 3 next to the peepers, because this is a chorus we're experiencing. Just a 1 next to the forest frog. Cool. Thank you, Freddie. And we are going, congratulations, first of all. You are all now amateur citizen scientists, frog watchers extraordinaire, and you deserve a round of applause. We're going to walk to our final destination, and on the way, I want you to think back to those passions that I asked you about at the very beginning. And I want you to think, I'm not going to follow up with this one, but I want you to think about what you would do to help protect or preserve, depending on what it was, that passion. Okay? Oh no.
I think that one's a goner.
Well, frogs and toads have been on this planet for 300 million years. They're some of the most ancient creatures that first went from water and crawled up onto land. And so I think that we have a lot to learn from them. But beyond that, and I also think they deserve another 300 million years. And so contributing to citizen science and projects like this are great ways to give back and kind of pay it forward to ensure that they will survive. But more than that, I want you guys to take away from tonight and from our time together the fact that you have the opportunity to take your passion and put it to the test. So whatever it is you're doing, love it more and enjoy it and ensure its longevity. Since we heard 2 different species tonight, which I'm pretty excited about given the temperature, I did create a little handout for you to prepare you for the upcoming months. It's called a Wisconsin Frog Mnemonic cheat sheet that you can use to test your knowledge on different frog calls that you hear throughout the summer. It also has a couple of resources on the back that point you to the Wisconsin Frog and Toad Survey, where you can quiz yourself or sign up to become a volunteer. And there's also a couple other just information points on there as well. So if anyone would like that to take home, jump on over and I'll get that to you. And for the 368 students, I will appoint one of you to hand out the evaluation sheets. You can fill those out and hand them back to me before you leave. But I invite you to ask questions as we walk back to where our cars are, and just thank you all again for coming.